Tom Selleck finally talks about Steve McQueen when he is 80 years old. Thomas William Selleck was born on January 29, 1945, in Detroit, Michigan. He spent most of his childhood in Southern California. The road to fame for Selleck wasn't easy or quick. The values he had as a child shaped both his work and his public image as an adult. Hard work, persistence, humility, and a strong sense of what it means to work hard. When he worked in a field known for short-lived fame and constant change, these traits would help him. Selleck went to the University of Southern California on a basketball scholarship, and at first he didn't see himself working in Hollywood. His tall, strong good looks and natural confidence, on the other hand, caught the eye of talent scouts during these years. He started learning drama while working in commercials and making small TV appearances to make money. He was encouraged to try acting. In these early years, I felt rejected and angry a lot. Selleck tried out for a lot of parts and lost a lot of them. Some of the roles that other actors got later became famous because they were given to them. These failures didn't make him angry. Instead, they made him more determined and improved his sense of professionalism. In a field that often awards speed, he learned to be patient and developed a realistic view of life that would later set him apart from many of his peers. A big break for Tom Selleck came in 1980 with the TV show Magnum, which made him a national name. P.I. cast as Thomas Magnum, a private detective from Hawaii who is both laid-back and very moral. Selleck touched a nerve in our culture. He played the part with a natural mix of humor, vulnerability, intelligence, and physicality that felt natural and true to himself. He became famous all over the world for the part, and his mustache became one of the most recognized features in TV history. Magnum P.I. was successful because Selleck gave the character emotional depth, showing a man shaped by his time in the military, his loyalty to friends, and his strong sense of right and wrong. His role won him an Emmy and solidified his reputation as a leading man with depth. When Selleck was at the height of his TV fame, he made a choice that was often risky. He wouldn't give up Magnum P.I. to become a movie star right away. He famously lost the lead role in Raiders of the Lost Ark because of this choice. That part went on to define the career of another actor. However, Selleck's commitment to his job duties and appreciation for teamwork said a lot about his character. In a time when desire often got in the way of honesty, he showed that being successful didn't mean giving up your values. This move changed the course of his film career, but it also earned him more respect in the business. When he moved into movies more seriously, Tom Selleck showed how adaptable he was. In Three Men and a Baby, he showed romantic charm and comedic timing. In and Out, he showed dramatic intensity. And in movies like Mr. Baseball, where he played an older player who had to deal with cultural displacement and personal reinvention, he showed emotional restraint. Even though he was often cast as the stereotypical American man, strong, sure of himself, and stern, Selleck always looked for parts that showed how vulnerable he really was. His acts showed that he was aware of his flaws, ready to laugh at himself, and not afraid to show how complicated his feelings were. In 2007 and 2008, he got back into the spotlight on TV with a famous role as A.J. Cooper on the hit show Las Vegas. The show took place in the flashy, high-stakes world of a luxury casino, but it was about a lot more than just the dice and lights. It was about the tough personal and professional problems that the people who worked in the casino had to deal with every day. From security problems and power struggles within the company to moral dilemmas caused by temptation and greed, his performance gave the show more weight and authority, telling viewers that behind the glitz of the strip was a place of work full of stress, loyalty, and constant risk. In the same year, he gave a strong and quietly captivating performance with Kathy Baker in the 2007 TV thriller film Jesse Stone, Sea Change. The movie was based on the book by Robert B. Parker of the same name. It was about a police chief who spends a lot of time thinking about himself and dealing with issues like loneliness, guilt, and his strong sense of right and wrong. People really connected with how he played Jesse Stone, a man who had lost loved ones, was honest, and never gave up on finding justice. The part was so important to him that he went on to play the character again in several more movies. This made Jesse Stone one of the most recognized and long-lasting characters in TV crime drama. Tom Selleck's career as a post-Magnum P.I. has been marked by an unusually wide range of choices that show he is ready to try new things, adapt, and stay culturally relevant well into his later years. In 2010, he made people happy by playing Mr. Kornfeld in the light-hearted comedy Killers. Selleck's performance added a warm and familiar touch to the movie, even though it wasn't the lead part. It reminded viewers why his easygoing charm and commanding screen presence have been so popular for so long. Selleck made an impact with his performance, even in a supporting role. He mixed confidence from years of experience with a self-aware sense of humor that struck a chord with both old and new fans. In 2012, Selleck became the face of Coldwell Banker's national advertising campaign, which took his fame beyond movies and TV shows. The ads were mostly about how important it is to own a home, which fit with Selleck's public image as a trustworthy, stable, and reassuring person. He gave the campaign a real feel because he didn't just talk like a famous endorser, but also like a well-known person whose voice made people think of security and traditional values. For many people, seeing Selleck in these ads reinforced their idea of him as a reliable and comfortable figure, which had been a part of his jobs for generations. When Selleck was asked to be a spokesman for the reverse mortgage lender American Advisors Group in 2016, it was another one that got a lot of attention. Again, his involvement was planned and carefully matched with how he is seen as mature and respected. The ad was aimed at older homeowners, and Selleck's calm, authoritative tone helped make a complicated financial subject easier to understand. Instead of trying to sell something, he offered comfort and clarity, making himself seem like a trusted guide instead of just a famous face. This move showed that Selleck had successfully moved into a stage of his work where his credibility and life experience were very important to people's decisions. Selleck's unexpected musical milestone may have been the most shocking and endearing thing about him. In 2021, he released his first record as a singer. On it, he sang with Nicholas King on the classic song Yes Sir, That's My Baby. The recording they made live in 2001 during their run of Thousand Clowns in theaters finally got to the public when it was put on King's album Act 1 by Club 44 Records. The song showed a less well-known side of Selleck. He was fun, chill, and sure of himself as a musician. Fans who are used to seeing him play tough guys on screen found it endearing to hear him sing, which showed how versatile he was and how much he loved performing in all its forms. Tom Selleck's personal life, especially his marriages and his role as a father, show a softer, more grounded side of the actor that was often different from how he played himself on screen. In 1971, Tom Selleck married model Jacqueline Ray. At the time, his playing career was just starting to take off, and he wasn't yet a big name on TV around the world. He became a husband and dad through the marriage, which shaped a big part of his adult life. J.C. Ray had a young son named Kevin from a past relationship. Selleck legally adopted Kevin and raised him as his own. This choice showed his responsibility and dedication as he became a father early on, even though he was facing the risks and financial instability that many struggling Hollywood stars face. In the 1970s, Selleck worked regularly but wasn't very well known. He did commercials, TV guest spots, and small parts in movies. Working full-time and taking care of a family wasn't easy, and the couple stayed married through years of small success, auditions, and frustrating work situations. But as the years went by, the stresses of desire, time apart, and both partners changed the relationship. As the 1980s began, Selleck's career was about to take a big turn for the better. Magnum P.I. was about to make him a famous face. After being married for more than 10 years, Selleck and Ray split up in 1982. Even after the marriage ended, Selleck kept in touch with his adopted son and has always seen that time as an important part of his growth as a person and the person responsible for his family. After 5 years, in 1987, Tom Selleck married British actress and dancer Jill Mack, whom he had met in London while she was performing in the show Cats. Their relationship began out of the public eye in Hollywood, and both of them wanted privacy and security from the start. Selleck's first marriage happened during a time when he wasn't sure about his job. By the time he got married for the second time, he was already a big star thanks to his work on Magnum P.I. But he didn't let fame take over his personal life. Instead, he made choices to keep it safe. He turned down some high-profile chances, cut down on his work, and put his family life ahead of being in the public eye all the time. In December 1988, they had a girl named Hannah Margaret Selleck. Being a dad for the second time had a huge effect on Selleck's decisions about his life. To be a more present and involved parent, He reportedly quit Magnum PI when it was at its peak, so he could spend more time with his family. Hannah was raised by Selleck and Mac on their ranch in California, away from Hollywood. She grew up with animals, nature, and a sense of normalcy that was very different from star culture. Many times, Selleck has talked about how important it was to him that his daughter grow up with ideals like privacy, discipline, and hard work. When Tom Selleck was 80 years old, all of a sudden he was looking back over the long course of his life and work. It was the first time he had chosen to be honest about Steve McQueen, who is one of Hollywood's most infamous people. Selleck had mostly avoided public comparisons and commentary for decades, even though his name was often linked to McQueen's as a representation of tough masculinity, quiet charisma, and a clearly American screen presence. However, time, thought, and distance can break up old silences. Some stars who came of age in the late 1960s and early 1970s felt like they were always in McQueen's shadow. Selleck agreed. He was more than just a movie star, Steve McQueen. Selleck said he had a way about him. You didn't look into him like you did into acting teachers. You took him in. It was his opinion that McQueen embodied a raw freedom that seemed real rather than fake, a quality that couldn't be taught or copied. McQueen set a standard that was both inspiring and scary for young artists who were just starting out. Selleck said that McQueen's presence was hard to ignore when he thought back on his early years in Hollywood. His name came up in every meeting and every screening room. He remembered, no one asked if you could act like Steve McQueen. They asked if you had anything else that seemed real like he did. Selleck said that this comparison put him under a lot of stress, but it also helped him figure out who he was as an actress. Selleck knew he didn't want to copy McQueen's style. Instead, he wanted to make something that was truly his own. Selleck talked about McQueen's image for being tough and rebellious, now that he can see it better. People thought Steve was hard to get along with, but I think they got the wrong idea. He said he was sure of what he wanted and knew when something wasn't right. Being that honest can make people feel bad in this line of work. Selleck said McQueen's refusal wasn't so much about his ego as it was about keeping his sense of what was right, both on and off screen. Selleck also talked about McQueen's weaknesses, which was not something that was talked about much during McQueen's lifetime. People forget how much pain he carried. Selleck said in a low voice, "Being famous doesn't erase what happened in the past. It sometimes just shines a light on the parts you're still trying to avoid." He thought about how McQueen's early problems made him more intense, and how that intensity showed in acts that are still remembered today. Selleck's view of McQueen changed as he got older, becoming more like understanding. "When you're young, you see legends as unbreakable," he stated. "When you're 80, you see that everyone was just making the best of what they had." He said that seeing how quickly and brilliantly Steve McQueen's career burned out was a lesson for him. It helped Selleck remember how important balance, family, and taking a break when needed are. Selleck made it clear that his respect for McQueen was never a way to copy her. He said, "I don't want to be the next Steve McQueen. There was already one, and he did a great job." Instead of trying to stay young, Selleck focused on living a long life by working on projects that would help him age gracefully. In this way, he thinks that their memories work together instead of against each other. By speaking out, Selleck made it clear that McQueen will always be an important person in his mind, not as a rival, but as a standard. "Steve showed us what it meant to be real," she said. "The rest of us just tried to be honest in our own way." At age 80, Selleck's words are weighed down by experience, respect, and thanks. They break a long period of silence and pay tribute to a man who helped shape an era of American film.